it go?
All right.
Wait a minute. Where's our animation? Come on. It's supposed to be working. Something got goofed up. Oh, we're locked. Hold
We're
on.
live.
Oh, hold on. Not yet.
Yeah.
Oh, it just went away. Oh, it's supposed to play an animation. I don't know. Didn't work. Oh, well. So, we're just going to do this thing where we go live. There's supposed to be a thing, but apparently I pushed. I don't know. It got goofed up. So here we are. It's Wednesday again.
It's Wednesday.
We're back.
We're back.
And if we're a little red today, it's because of the wind on the river.
The wind burned on the river today.
We got a little cooked.
It's definitely windy out there today, but we had a good time, and we were able to put a fish in the boat, so that was super cool.
Oh, we got Joe tune in. Is there a China, Michigan?
I guess there's a China, Michigan. I know there's a Climax and a Hell.
I know about Hell. Yeah. And
Yeah.
how was fishing today, Brian?
Oh, it was good to get out. My first official guide trip of the season.
It was good to get out and get some of that off, rust out. I mean, we had a heat wave today. If you guys don't know,
it was 40 degrees.
40
today.
degrees.
Whoa.
It was beautiful.
It was gorgeous.
And then it got really wet.
Yes,
which
it
kinda-
did. We're going to have a skating rink tomorrow morning.
Yeah. There's no doubt about that. It's going to be ugly. So, let's see. A few housekeeping things before we get started. If you're new to this, welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you for clicking in tonight and joining us for live fly tying. If you haven't done so yet, maybe... Oh, I can't even hit my subscribe button.
Yeah.
There it is. Okay. Do this thing. Right down.
Subscribe.
Which side is it on? Subscribe. And if you'd like to participate, ask lots of questions, use the comment section below, and we will relay to our special guest this evening, Mike Courson.
We are super excited to have
Super
Mike.
excited to have Mike here, and we're going to be talking small streams. We're going to be talking brook trout and brook trout flies, and hopefully a funny story or two we can glean out of you too. So
Mike is our resident UP guy, so we always try and get secrets out of him for the UP.
We try. It's not always easy.
Never happens.
Yeah. So he also works as he also sees
paramedic.
some of the most interesting parts of Traverse City. So, which is always funny. So, yeah.
Welcome, Mike. You are live
On screen.
Excellent.
Yeah. Can't believe we finally twisted your arm into this, huh?
It only took a couple of years.
I know.
But you might get some secrets tonight.
All right.
Ooh.
We love secrets.
So pen and paper ready.
Yeah, that's right. If you'd like to chase those beautiful brook trout, this is the episode for you guys. So, yeah, let's. What should we do first? What do
Go
you think?
right ahead. I think we should.
I'm so thrown off from my intro being goofy that I forgot what I was
see?
going to talk about.
Wow.
So
It's rough going live, isn't it?
I know it is.
So I think
It is.
today what we're working on a little streamer. Why don't you tell us about this fly a little bit, maybe about the history of it there, Mike?
So this fly is kind of cool. As they said, I love chasing brook trout. That's my thing, and I love backwaters, out of the way. If you see me fishing, it's pretty rare because I'm usually pretty far away from everybody. But when I was in my 20s, I ran into a guy up in the UP, and maybe later we'll divulge the river. It's about 8-10 hours from here, and was kind of having a hard time fishing. And he came up and he actually gave me one of these flies. I don't really have a name for it. I've always just kind of referred to it as the Randy fly. For whatever reason, I think the guy's name was Randy, and kind of named after a good friend of mine too that actually caught a good-sized brook trout on it, so we named it after him. Simple fly. The only thing the guy told me, he said, when you tie it, he said, make it ugly. Ugly is good. I've tried to make it, delicate, nice, look, really awesome and sleek, and it doesn't fish as well. So ugly and chunky, they're fast, and kind of the neat thing, So you can see that the collar on this one is copper, and the underside is purple. The materials are interchangeable, so tie the body in copper and tie the collar in purple. Everything else stays the same. Cone head makes it nice. Get it down. If you don't use a cone head, you can put a little bit of lead on it. But idea is you don't want it to sink. I mean, you want it kind of just in the middle, just below the surface, and then it'll kind of dive and dart around. It's a cross between like a woolly bugger and a streamer. But it's got a little bit of flash back here, and it really sparkles. The purple works really good in dirty water, and the copper works really good in clear water. But same materials, you just switch their position, and you're going to end up with a really nice fly that you can fish a lot of different situations with. Works good in slow water, fast water, but definitely this is a backwoods UP fly.
Fantastic.
What kind of setup do you usually use fishing this? How light can you go? You know, is this 3-weight, 4-weight?
You can go light with this. I tried fishing it with my 0-weight, and
Oh my gosh!
Wow.
it's it's too heavy for that. I typically fish it with a 3-weight. You can fish it with a 2 pretty successfully, but 3 seems to handle it really nice. The 3-4-weight will handle it really nice, you know. And if you've got one of the shorter rods like the 7-footers, those work really good, you know, especially where you're getting in with, you know. And you can even use like the 3-weight spay rods. I've played around with that, so you don't have any back cast on it. It's kind of neat. It'll do a lot of things, and it's not super heavy, but it's, like I said, just enough to get it just below the surface.
Perfect.
Looks like it'd be a fun to fly to throw on one of those single hand OPST kind of setups, you know.
Yep.
And I think people are starting to discover how valuable that is. And I tell everybody you should learn to spay cast because it makes you a better angler, especially in small water.
Absolutely.
You learn how to load your rod in
Yep.
every situation, and this is the exact type of fly that I like to throw.
Yeah, and the nice thing is, you know, you don't need a real long leader at all with this. You can, you know, super short leader, and, you know, furled leaders work wonderful with this. Gives it a really nice presentation. So
Good to know.
kind of however you want to go. I know a lot of people don't like messing with furled leaders because they can win knot pretty easily.
They can. Yep.
But no, this is just a nice, have a little variety and keep them just tucked away, because when you're not hitting on anything else,
This is your go-to.
This is my go-to.
This is your
this
code
will
cracker.
produce.
Perfect. The producer.
Everyone has one. I know what mine is. What's yours, Brian? I think I could guess. I mean,
is
we're
a
stick for trout. Okay.
Mine is a skunk.
Skunk. Yeah.
For sure.
Yep. Wet
Without
skunker
question.
fly. Tommy showed me the Betsy, which we did a
Ooh,
video on a long time
yes,
ago.
That is a good one too.
Yeah. So let's tie a fly.
All right. So this is kind of what it's going to look like when we're done. Hands are too big to reach down here. So I don't know if they can see that or not, but there's 2 styles of hooks.
Yep. We're zoomed in right there.
So this is going to be a number 10, and it's a nymph and streamer. It's a 2X heavy, 3X long, and then the other one that I tie it on is going to be this guy here, and this is just a straight nymph, standard wire, 3X long. But the 3X long is kind of the key to this, because you do have a little bit of material that you're going to be stacking on it.
Sure.
And it's bigger material. It's chunky. I'm pretty sure the guy that showed this to me probably saved everything that he ever tied with, and he was probably just using scraps left and right.
And if people want a hook reference number for those, I would equate that to the TMC 5263 and a 200R probably is my guess for that.
200R.
Exactly, spot on.
Oh,
Yep.
Those are the 2 hooks right there.
All right. You get a star for the day.
gold
Matt.
star.
And then we'll tie the first one with a silver cone, if I can't. And then I do have them that I tie with copper cones. Copper cones are a little heavier. I'll use those in your faster water, because I pretty much fish these exclusively with floating type lines. And then
What size cones are those, Mike? If you had to guess, maybe my guess is probably a medium. If you're tying that size, maybe a small.
I think they're mediums. I take everything out and I just throw them in the little bins and find something that fits when I'm tying. So,
but you are very well organized, I will say.
That's super.
Probably the most organized person we've had this year, maybe.
Maybe.
You're up there in the running.
Hubbard's pretty organized.
You got to try. So I tie this with either purple thread, orange thread. This is a little bright. You can
up a little bit higher there. There you go.
Subdue it down a little bit. That I like the way that actually produces better. But 6080 seems to do a pretty good job. So real easy. We're gonna start off here with a thread base, and you're gonna see my ginormous amount of waste that I incur when I'm doing this.
But I used to be that tire who saved every little thing, and I definitely don't do that anymore.
No.
I don't have time for that.
I did too. I think we all go through that phase.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, materials are cheap. Just it's and you'll probably see some of my bad habits here when I'm doing this. So with these, again, this is one of my bad habits, but I have big hands. I like things to hold on to. So we get a little bit of a thread base. And like I said, this is just a super easy fly. Run it back. About the same length of it.
Looks like you have about 4 sprigs, so you just took one and quartered it, basically.
Yep, I just took one, quartered it, and cut the back off. And actually, we're going to go back here because I want that to be a little... I do have a little bit of perfectionist in me, but not much. So get that down, and I guess we'll go with probably a purple yarn body. So this is the yarn that I'm going to be using. I don't even know what they
Looks
call
like
this.
rayon chenille, if I were to guess.
Well, this is
Or it's a yarn, you said.
this is a yarn. This is the chenille.
You hold them up a little bit higher there, Mike. Yeah, there we go.
So you can use the chenille, works really nice. The yarn, I like the yarn. I like the way that it kind of bulks it up and gives it that chunky look. And then for the collar, we're going to use this copper braid. There's also this style of, I don't even know what they call this
Sparkle chenille.
sparkle chenille copper stuff. That works really good on the body, but again, you don't have to buy a separate item for the body or the collar. So if you're looking to, tie something and take it with you, when you're going to tie on the side of the river, I know some guys do that. I've done that on occasion.
I don't think I've ever tied a fly on the side of the river. Have you?
No, I don't think I ever have. It's sometimes
I've seen people on the steering wheel.
Yeah.
I've tied them in my truck.
You should have a steering wheel rig in your. Well, that's
in your
probably against
ambulance.
company policy, huh?
Right. So we'll just we'll get this on there, and so we're going back. The idea here is just kind of get it on. It doesn't have to be pretty. I go back to roughly just about the bend, and then bring it forward.
Cody just asked about those spools, which is funny. We were all discussing those actually before we went live as to where we can find them. I will dig into this, and I am a material sleuth, and I will
If anybody can do it, Matt, you
try
figure out where those are.
my darndest to see where we can find some more of those, because I have some at home that are a little bit smaller even than that.
Those things are awesome.
I've got a couple places you can probably look.
Yeah. And maybe it's just a craft store thing too. I don't know if it's a fly supply specific item. So,
but yeah, no, these are really nice if you guys find them. And I know Matt's going to try too, because you can put them on your finger.
and just wrap a material instead of having it come off the card.
Because I'm really good about, if I'm pulling material, I just pull it and snip it, and then I've got this big chunk of stuff that I'm never going to use.
Right.
So, all right, so once we get the body on, you can see it's got a little bit of fuzz. You can take a little comb to it if you want. Doesn't really need to be. Then we're going to add orange bucktail. Like I said, this is super easy fly. You don't want a whole lot. That's the kind of the kicker with this.
Bucktail's such an easy material to go overboard with.
Yeah. So this is honestly, this is way too much. I'm just gonna make a mess of your table.
We have a vacuum. I'm not worried.
We do. Nice addition to the shop.
Thanks. It's Brian's old vacuum, so hats off to him. So you do stack these, it looks like.
Yeah, I do stack them. You don't have to. I've done it without it. But,
Have you played with that synthetic bucktail for this?
I've done the synthetic, and I've done calf's tail with it before. That actually,
I bet that would work really well.
That works pretty good. And then there was something else that I'd used before. It's
I could see if you're tying on a smaller scale, the calf tail working.
Yeah.
Probably for this size, that bucktail is pretty nice.
Yeah. Really, it's kind of anything that just mimics this. I mean, you've got such a limited amount on there. It's giving you a little bit of flotation, but not much. But again, you're looking to get away from the flotation.
Right. And you're cutting from which part of the bucktail there? Does it matter?
Doesn't really matter. So I kind of have a line down here where it was easy to just grab a chunk, and I try to avoid the blacker stuff there. I want the nice bright.
I'm sure if people are worried about the flotation, you can always use that upper third. Always has less air buildup in the fibers.
Absolutely.
They're not as
Or
hollow.
you can always add a little
weight.
Little weight to
there
it.
You go.
There. So I normally just take it, measure about the length, and we'll get it so it's about the basically the body length back, just a little bit less than what the tail is there, and get that tied in.
Looks like a loose wrap before you actually bind down on that.
Yeah, and I usually about 3 wraps is about all you'll need. The yarn is really good at catching this stuff. So once you got that on there, we're going to go to the green bucktail, and again, kind of avoid the black. So I'll go down here on the back side and just pick something. Looks nice. Looks pretty for the fish.
I like it. Never thought about like that purple until the past, 5-6 years. And purple really catches a lot of fish.
Purple is one of my own. Yeah. It's probably not what I go to in a hatch matching, but anytime I'm prospecting or searching, it's definitely in my repertoire. Purple haze, the purple patriot, which we may be doing a video on both of those.
We shouldn't do that one.
No? Okay. Top secret. No.
Top secret. You got the purple hippie stomper.
And then there's the purple yarn tail.
Yeah.
I finally found the yarn for that.
We used to tie a fly called the purple nurple for steelhead.
You would.
Yeah. The purple nurple.
So, again, we're stacking this. You don't have to, but I do think it makes it look a little bit nicer and kind of helps you weed out some of the excess, because again, very, very minimal amount. So to give you an idea, that's my bodkin next to the amount that I'm using. So can probably use a little bit more than that, but again, you don't want to get.
I'd rather have too little than too much.
People
probably,
overdress flies.
Yeah, this one is really easy. Like I'll show you because I was playing around with it. So real easy. You can see there.
Drop it down.
That one is way overdressed. That was.
Here, hold it right at the
Hold
vise.
it right at the vise.
Yeah, there you go. Pretend it's there. We
Yep,
go.
perfect.
Honey.
So you can see that one's way overdressed as far as the bucktail goes, and it'll look a lot nicer, not having it as dressed. But then once you have it on, I get not as essential in measurement, but try to go just a little bit beyond where the orange is. So
This definitely looks like a UP fly, like something out of your grandpa's box, that just has that character, those bold colors that the brookies like.
Yep.
This state has taught me to just love brook trout. It takes you to places without road signs and off the map almost. Like the GPS doesn't work anymore, and I love it. I
love brook trout.
So then what I'll do, once we get the bucktail tied in, I come back just a little bit, and you can see I take a wrap back. This is the only intricate part of this fly. And take a wrap back so you've got about your bodkin space on there. And that's going to be where we're going to add the copper collar on. I've fished it without the collar. It doesn't do as well. I've actually fished this without the bucktail and just the purple and the copper, and it still did pretty good. So I think the bucktail is more or less just to give it a little bit, so it's not.
So it has some movement to it.
It's got a little bit of movement, and it doesn't completely sink. And then, big thing here, we can get it tucked in.
The other thing this collar's doing is kind of seating that cone so it doesn't rattle around, and you're kind of filling that gap. Yep. Which I know it's standard out there to fill your cone with a little bit of wire, but if tying on jig hooks has taught me anything, don't always have to fill it with wire. As long as you wedge your materials right up against
it won't move.
It won't move.
Yep, and you can see we had a little, it moved a little bit, but now it's, a little bit of thread in there, tightened it right up. And basically it comes, smooth, almost like a little bullet head right off onto the collar. You can get a little overzealous on some of these, like this one. Again, a little overzealous on that. It's a little thick. That's about what you want it to look like. And, yeah, so that's, and then I usually just half hitch it. I don't get too excited. I have a hard time with my hands doing the whip finish over the cone head. But yeah, so could have used a little more green in that. We went a little light, but I'd rather go lighter than not. Like I said, I'm not so sure that the bucktail itself does anything except give it movement, and if you get too much of it, it will make it float.
So. I mean, how I'm looking at this fly is as a baby brook trout.
Yep,
it looks like a baby brook trout.
I was
thinking like
you got your orange back, your green back, your orange belly, and then some of those brook trout have really dark colors if they have a little bit deeper place they live, and that purple is it's something they can see in low light. Yep. And every fly in Michigan should probably have copper in it, I think. So,
yeah.
This is a classic streamer design, much like a Mickey fin or a Royal Coachman streamer or any
Classic
of those
design.
classic designs. And that is definitely a baby brook trout, I would say.
Yep, classic design, classic old school UP fly.
Right,
Like,
simple.
This is
4 materials.
not a whole lot into it. I don't think the guy that taught me had the crystal flash for the tail. I think that was something I added later on, but it's been so long I don't know. I don't think he had that. I think it was.
But that's what's so fun about exchanging patterns with people. In my mind, is sometimes you lose track of which part was the original, which part you added and is now a staple and have passed on to everyone else watching, which is
like I said, this works really good. You can fish it in fast water. It is not as productive in fast water. It is really productive in slow, murky water. Beaver ponds. Run into a lot of those in the UP.
Hey, can you tell me where you find those beaver ponds in the UP?
I think you're going to have to drive pretty far west from what I can tell. So.
Off 94, between Shingleton and Manistee, you come across a couple. There's one called the Big Ditch that is worth a look. But so this fly, the guy that taught me or showed me this fly was actually, we were fishing on the Iron River. So if you guys want to go someplace, and the Iron River is hard to fish. It is a little bit faster. It has some really slow, murky pools, and it is tannic acid water. It is that dark brown all the time, and then it's got the stone leaching into it as well. So
yeah, I finally ventured west of Marquette last year a few times, and man, it's so cool up there. And I couldn't believe how dark some of those rivers are.
Yes.
But I talked to the locals and they said, "Oh no, it's perfect color for fishing." And I'm like, "Oh my God, really? Yep. I can't imagine seeing my fly more than a few feet down." But they say that's just perfect.
When you get into the western end, there's a pretty dedicated little enclave of guys that fish that, and I mean, there are some towns up there where you'll see them and they're fishing right downtown, and you're like, "Man, that doesn't make any sense. This water is almost black."
Yeah.
And it's perfect. And it produces these beautiful, hardy brook trout.
Are you fishing this, almost exclusively downstream kind of presentation?
Yeah, this is pretty much a downstream presentation. You can pull it back upstream. I've done that too, and it works very nice doing that.
Yep.
But I like to fish things downstream. That's just my way of doing things, but it will fish both ways equally as well.
You know what I like about this fly being a UP fly is you're going to lose them, right?
Yep.
This is
a
very
lot of
fast, easy to tie, obviously a proven pattern. And so that's one of the big things that appeals to me about this pattern.
Well, and I tie this beginning of the year. I will tie these, and I will have a box with nothing but these. I never do anything but size 10. I've showed other people, and they've tied different sizes, but they always come back to the size 10. The size 10 seems to be what produces. One side of the box is silver and purple, and the top half will be silver and purple. The bottom half will be silver and copper. The other side will be same variation, but with a copper head. So I'll have those 4 variations. That's it. Fill the box in the spring. Go out, and that's it just stays there. But you're going to lose them. If you're going to fish in the UP,
you're going to lose a lot of flies in the UP.
You're going to lose a lot of these flies. Yep. And that's okay, because they're easy to tie.
Do you find, like, on the sunny days, do you prefer a copper versus a...
So it's actually funny. I was talking
silver?
to Matt about that. The copper versus silver, I've never found a real indicator that they're going to do this. They like this or they like that. The big one that I've found is the purple versus copper body. The darker the water, until if it gets almost black, they like the copper. But that real tannic acid, that brown water that's always in the UP, they love the purple.
Do you want to tie one with that copper body? Do you have copper body? We'll tie one more?
We'll tie another one here.
We got time.
We got time. I got it all set up. I told Matt this was going to be...
Yeah, I love the simplicity. And so
it's just an easy fly.
Yeah.
the one thing with the copper, for those guys out there, so the copper is a little bit different weight-wise. If you use lead on the silver-headed bead heads, don't use it on the copper. It'll make it too heavy.
Okay.
So, and this is how I cheat with my lead.
That's a great way to do it. Anything that's on a spool like that, I use material bobbins.
So, and then you can, like I said, the copper bodies, you can go both ways. We'll probably go with this one just because I haven't tied one of those in a while and I need some in my box.
Perfect. Well, we're glad to give you a space to tie some flies, right?
So,
and I like that. I like the idea of the bobbin for your lead. And if people are wondering which bobbin to get for that, not that you all need another material, thing to buy, but the Hairline makes an economy material bobbin just for that. We sell them, and they're unbelievably cheap. They're like $4 to $5 somewhere in there.
They work
or you just
so
take
well.
one that you broke the ceramic out
Yeah,
of the inside.
I was looking at yours and I was like, I think that's a Wasatch bobbin.
Yeah, I broke the ceramic
with
out
nice
of it.
wood on it.
It's not a Wasatch. It's a knockoff of it.
You didn't have to tell people that. They don't know.
No, this is the nice Wasatch one. This is the cheap knockoff from your competitor.
Well,
the ceramic broke out of that.
That's
actually,
okay.
Like the day after I got it.
Oh no.
So.
Oh boy, no.
As far as thread colors, I mean, if you're gonna tie a lot of copper ones, maybe go to the orange. But really, you don't see the thread in this at all. It doesn't matter. You could tie. I mean, there was a point in my tying where I tied with purple or red all the time. I don't remember why I chose to tie with red, but I tied with red so I could see it better. But
and this is on that 200R again.
Yep.
Size 10, if people are wondering.
So, and then with these, so again, just bring it back. Just as the curve starts to. So basically, here's your halfway between the.
Probably right at the barb, right?
Yeah, just before you get to the barb, about halfway between the barb and the point. And that seems to work pretty good.
And that's kind of a classic wet fly technique is not actually using the whole shank, exposing a little shank at the back for some style. I don't know why that is, but dang, it looks cool.
Well, and it does. And like I said, this is about as old school as it gets. I mean, it's just when you first start, anybody who first started tying flies, and they remember you got the little pamphlet, and this is the proportions, and this is how you do it, and nobody follows that anymore. But
no more rules.
Yeah, no more rules. But yeah, this has rules, but it doesn't have rules. And I just take, like I said, I think this material is cheap. I have big hands. It's easier for me to hold. So I just take one piece and basically there's a loop and then you got your two ends and we'll bring it out. And so on my vise, I kind of have it set up. I know that I want to cut these basically right about where I've got this little spring. And
looks to be about a shank and a half.
It's about a shank and a half. But shank and a half. I just know I cut it at the spring. You tie enough of these, it's like, that's where we cut it.
We all have our placeholders for.
Yep. And we'll get this stuff.
And that's that copper tinsel chenille, right?
Yep, copper tinsel chenille. I saw the other day, I don't remember where I was looking, it was somewhere online, and they were talking about it. They've got this now that, this has like I don't know if they can see it on the camera, but there's kind of like it's a copper and a white. They have one now that is a copper and silver mixture.
Yeah.
That I think would be really cool.
It lightens it up, that silver kind of.
Yeah. But so you can see this makes it definitely buggier.
Definitely gives it a different dimension.
Yeah. Yep. I'm sure someone could, if you wanted to, use copper ice dubbing, and brush it out if you want. There's so many you could use.
Many things you could do here.
And
a medium polar chenille or something. I mean, there's so many, and I like this idea because that seems to be your philosophy a little bit. Is don't get too caught up in exact stuff, but
don't get caught up in exact stuff. I like this fly because, if you roll in and you're like, oh man, this is what I have to make a body, and I think this is McFly stuff.
Yeah.
It's like, you remember the McFly craze, and it's like, how many of us have tons of McFly stuff that we're like, oh, we're going to tie all kinds of these, and now I literally have bins of it that I couldn't give away if I wanted to. But use that on this, why not? It looks cool, it works, but don't, like Matt said, I really try not to get caught up with it has to be this or it has to be that.
I'm the same way. If I just tie with what I have.
I mean, there are times these guys know I come in here and I'll ask for some really crazy things.
Yeah, we all have our nuances.
But that's because I'm looking to do something.
But that's how you figure.
But then I'll usually figure out that, all right, now that I've got the really crazy thing and I've tied it that way, and then I'll find, well, what about this or what about that? This might work better than that.
Right. And more readily available or whatnot. So.
Yeah, like finding starling is a
not
challenging
easy.
one.
Yeah. Well, while you're stacking that, I will mention that we have less than a month left to the Fly Fishing Film Tour.
Yes, March 5th.
March 5th, Saturday.
Tickets are available at the Opera House.
Opera House. And there's a link on our website, of course.
Doors open at 6:30. Film starts at 7:30. We've got a lot of great door prizes.
Cool prizes. Everyone's eligible to win. You don't have to buy a raffle or anything. So
it'll be fun.
You show up, buy a ticket, you get a chance to win some cool stuff and get amped up about springtime. It's kind of like I like what they call it. They call it the Stoke Reel.
You get
excited about steelhead and travel and trout and all these things, and it's fun. It's a good time to get together, see some people maybe you haven't seen in a little while, and
absolutely,
it's a good time. So join us there and maybe win something too.
That'd be super awesome.
I do look for, like, some of these are ridiculously long. I do kind of look for some shorter ones, or I'll just cut higher up
and stack them.
Yeah.
And if anyone's wondering, there's a lot of variation in greens and oranges, specifically in bucktail, and that looks to be probably your standard green, just plain old green. And I think my guess is the regular orange, maybe a fluorescent orange, if I were to guess.
Orange.
That's an orange.
Regular orange.
Regular orange. Okay.
Regular orange and regular green. Nothing.
You could put some yellow in there, call it the Green Bay Packer fly.
Right. I've tried putting white in it before, and it looks cool. It makes it look even more like a little brook trout, but it gets thick real quick.
I can see that. Like you're doing 3 colors.
Yep, 3 colors.
I can see.
It gets too thick.
I wonder how marabou would look on there. Like a little bit of marabou.
Done that too, and it looks good.
I bet.
Yeah, that's like I said. This is just, it's kind of cool because you don't have to get too excited about it. Making sure that you got the right stuff. am, however, going to switch to...
So you're going to do purple here instead of
Yep.
the copper?
So we're going to do a purple collar, and I'm going to switch it over to the chenille here. We're going to use so it's a little bit lighter. The yarn, when you wrap the yarn on, the yarn works, but you can only get maybe 1 or 2 wraps, and then it starts to get too big. And if you're trying to shove it in there, tighten the cone up, chenille actually works pretty darn good. But, well, you know what, we can do it with the yarn. Just, we'll keep with that because that's what we were...
Oh, no, I didn't know there was snow in Detroit. Perfect time to start time.
Oh. Well,
did your cone just pop off?
My cone just popped off. Isn't that inconvenient?
Oh.
All right. So.
Well, you were telling me originally, I think you were telling everybody originally this
it was never
a,
tied with a cone.
Well, here we go.
Well, yeah, so here we go. I guess I'm glad I did go with the... We'll see if I can salvage this. Back in Fly Tying 101, don't get it too close to the...
Don't crowd your eye.
Don't crowd your eye. All right, so that one looks really ugly because the cone popped off, but...
Yeah, that's like the beauty of the UP flies is they're not really good looking. Some like you look at the flies that were in your grandfather's fly box, right? And you're like, man, that thing is so ugly. How did that ever catch fish? And you look at some of the flies, you know, if you go to these museums or whatever, and, you know, they work because they still imitated life. And, you know, it doesn't have to look like something modern. It doesn't have to be exact replica of that.
And I will say, if anybody decides to go to the UP and in their travels, there may or may not be a little shop on the side of 41 going north that sells liquor and cigars. And they have a little fly box, and they sell original Betty McNults.
Oh.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm surprised. They have a local guy that ties those.
Yep.
I'm sure they're
Local
not.
guy that ties them.
Yeah.
So there's your mystery hunt for the night.
It's worth a find. Mike was really nice enough. I think you brought me a full copy of a newspaper cutout, or you sent it to me, I think.
Yep. How to tie the Betty McNult.
Which was really cool.
One.
Yeah. And another great brook trout fly you should have in your box.
Yeah.
I mean,
so this, you know, obviously the cone popped right off, which is funny. I've never had that happen before.
Well, leave it to a live fly tying event for that to happen.
Right.
So.
Absolutely.
But looks ugly, but I'll tell you what, I will fish that. Yeah, not a question.
It's perfect for that slow water where you don't need to get down as much. You have a little bit more time to set her up. So
yeah, it doesn't have to look pretty. It doesn't have to. The uglier it looks, the better it's going to fish, I find, especially with these flies.
I think a lot of flies are that way.
And you get up in the UP with these, yeah, you want them chunky, you want them ugly. You know, it's cold water. It's just like winter fishing down here. They're not going to move unless it's a valued meal for them. Yeah, they want some bang for their buck.
They need some calories.
Yep.
Yep.
Well, fantastic. Thanks, Mike.
Yeah.
Well, awesome. Anything left before we start to wrap up here? We got the Michigan Fly Fishing Show.
Well, we do have the
Just
Michigan
coming
Fly
up.
Fishing Show.
Live fly tying here continues again next week.
Hey, thanks for all the orders, everyone, too.
Yeah.
We really appreciate
the support. It keeps us going through the winter. You know, you can get a lot of fly tying stuff at thenorthernangler.com and a lot of other stuff. And if there's something special you're after,
let us know. We're always
we
happy
order
to special
stuff
order.
all the time, and we ship it out to you so you can tie awesome stuff like this. So big appreciation for you guys keeping us going.
Fantastic. Thanks
I feel
for
like
tuning
there
in.
was one more announcement. I don't remember. Oh, listen to the podcast.
Yes.
Check it out.
podcast.
I think we just released another episode, and it is now, thanks to popular demand, available on Apple Podcasts. So you can get it right
So we
on your
can do
phone.
Spotify and Apple.
Ram bam. There you go. Cool.
Fantastic.
We're
Thanks,
going to
everyone.
wrap up. Big thanks to Mike Courson here. I don't even think you do social media, do you?
No.
Okay. So if you want to find Mike, look for him in the UP.
Ask these guys; they might know where I'm
He's
at.
trapped in the woods. Maybe if you're having a medical issue, you'll run into him, but hopefully not on a bad day, right? So
That's right.
don't call them for lost cats or dogs. So
Stub
awesome.
toes.
Yeah. All right. That's it for us tonight. Thanks so much, everyone, for watching. If you get a chance, maybe hit that subscribe button down below. That helps us out, and give us a thumbs up. Stay tuned for next week. Ed McCoy, who knows what he's going to tie? He'll have some sort of
Ed always has
like
a
cerebral, thought out fly. It'll be awesome, I'm sure. So we'll see you all next week. Thank you, everyone, for watching, and catch you later.